Alright, so now we can start texturing. So, to do that, we've been in the sculpting section. Let's go to the paint section, add a new layer, and for the size, let's do 2048. For the size here, I'm going to make the name primary. I'm just going to do my main colors here. We'll save as the PNG, and the channel will be Diffuse. Diffuse is basically color. So there's Diffuse, there's Specular, there's all these different ones. Really, the only ones that we really need are Diffuse, maybe Specular, and normal matte. Okay? So we'll do that, primary, and we'll call it good. And then what I want to do basically is paint my guy. So there we go. Yay. So we were in the sculpt tools, so now switch to paint tools. Here's the regular old paintbrush, and then we can start brushing at it. Okay, so I think not this one. Is it underneath this guy? I thought they had a there it is, flood paint layer. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so go over here and whatever color you want your guy to be. So I'm just gonna do kind of a light, might be a little bit more purple, like that. Okay, so whatever you want your base color to be, go like that, and then scroll down here and just click on flood paint layer. And that will basically flood the whole layer with that one color, and that way that'll be your starting color, and that's all hunky-dory. Now, they do have these material presets. I don't suggest switching them. If you're going to, just switch back to either like the default, and I think they might have one that's blend. The one that you're on is probably the best. So anyway, that looks good. So that's my primary, and then in here, you can just add any other colors you would want. So I just go over here, click on this guy, and you know, like if he's supposed to have stripes or something, I'd paint those on there. And maybe even like variation and things like that. Okay, so just some things that you can do to make this work a little bit better. We'll see how well this works. We can do a couple of things. So, you know what, I'm not even going to show you how to do the ambient occlusion because it works on mine, but it might not work on yours. So one of the things I generally that I like to do is to do a lightness and darkness, what I call pre-shading. So you can actually use the dry brush to do this. So I'm going to grab the dry brush, and then take the color, and I'm just going to kind of do my primary color, but cooler, and I'm going to do it kind of like a very dark, kind of almost black, okay? Take the strength can be down, and then we'll make it bigger. So I'm on dry brush. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold control. By holding control, it'll only paint the insides, not the outsides. So if you hold control and then I paint, you can see it does almost nothing. Let me take the strength up. Oh, apparently I'm using a stamp image and I did not realize it. Stamp off, stencil off. Okay. Back on my brush. Okay, let's try now. There we go. Okay. Now I can weaken it up a bit. Let's go back down where we were. Oh, I guess I gotta go up a little bit. There we go. So this will basically try to paint in receding areas when I use the dry brush. If you hold control down, it'll pick up, it'll fill in cavities, basically. So I'm just holding control and just kind of stroking over the entirety of my model. And it should pick up on that belly button now. Pick up on the crotch. But it should hopefully catch, like it should catch in the eyes there. But this will give us kind of a good pre-shading, if you will. And then what I'll do is, I'm going to switch to the regular, oh, it doesn't have it anyways. Okay, I'm going to keep it on the dry brush. And now what I'm going to do is do a warmer version of what I had, but a really light color. And I'm going to leave it on dry brush, but I'm going to paint across it. And now this will be painted on all of the peaks. So things that stick out will actually be caught by this. Okay? But I'm not holding control this time because I want it to only go on things that are protruding this time, which was the opposite of what I was trying to do last time. Okay? So you can kind of see that we're getting some nice little variation in there. Now another thing I like to do while we're on this layer is this. I will try to find a blood color. So usually it's kind of a warm orangish kind of color like this. Kind of a rich color. And then I will manually, with a regular brush here, make sure my strength's way down. I will put this on wherever the, kind of like very similar to what the other one is, but basically fingertips, nose, brow, things where skin gets rosy. This is basically a rosiness is what I'm doing. And I'm painting this all in the primary, which normally I wouldn't, but I'm just going to manually paint these on those areas. So usually right on the, maybe a little bit on the ribs here. And unfortunately he doesn't really have, I guess his cheeks maybe a little bit. Oops. Cheeks a little like that. Just a little bit of rosiness. Okay. And there it goes. Okay. So now I got some nice kind of variation on a base coat that doesn't look too awful bad. It's kind of coming along. So some other tools that they also have are the same things we did for the sculpting. So I can go through, and let's say there's a pattern here that I really like let's say I like, let's say I like this, right? And I want this to be my pattern on my guy. So I'll grab this and let's do something kind of, let's say like that. I can use that stamp, this little pattern here, and I'll just go ahead and do randomize and make my stamp spacing about 50%. And we'll make it a little bit bigger, and you can do, strength's gotta go back up. Let's bring that back down. I'm gonna add a new layer, and we'll just make it another one, just so that I can have these separate. Come on, new layer, there it is, okay. I'm gonna take the strength down because it's a little bit stronger than I'd like. Let's do that. But let's say I like this. So I'm gonna take my stamp spacing and go even higher because it's doing them too often. Okay. I could add, he's got freckles. Like so. Right? So you can use those. You can also use stencils. So I'm going to turn stamp back off and let's go to stencil. And let's say I just want to use, okay, let's say we do brick. Okay. Now what's cool with the stencils is this. I'm going to click on this to make sure we have a perfect front shot. And we want to do S and middle mouse button. I will go ahead and use tiles. Okay, so what's cool about this is that if I click back on the paintbrush, you can see the color here, right? So let's say I want to do, this in more of an orangey green, right? We'll say something like that, okay? Now when I go to brush this, you can see it's painting on it, right? So I'm going to hit Q to turn that off. See how it paints that color? It uses the color I have. This is the difference between that and the projection. If I do projection, and then I do this color, now, when I hit Q, come on, Q, projection brush designed to work with a stencil. Work with a stencil, please. There we go. Okay, I said it was selected. Okay, when I go like this, notice that it's actually got the color on it. Watch, when I go to paint it, it actually uses the color information. So that's the difference of using a stencil with the paintbrush versus the projection. The projection will actually take the image and apply it, as opposed to the just using the regular paintbrush. So that's kind of the difference between the two, okay? Just so you are aware. Let's undo that because I don't think that looks very good. Come on, undo, undo, undo. One of these days is going to do it. Let's see. Paintbrush. Okay, can I undo? Hey, there it goes. Okay. So you can use those, and again, so if there was like you want to have a tattoo or something, you could load in an image, it would show up right here, and then you can use either the projection or paintbrush with it, and that would add it to it, which is pretty cool. And so you go through and basically paint your diffuse, okay? Now, what we can do with Specular is I'll click on this, and we'll just call this Shininess, and I'm going to do Specular this time. And it's going to give me another set. Now the way the Specular works is that it is going to control the shininess, right? So meaning, if I were, let's make this guy kind of cool. So he's got this color, right? Let's say when he does his shininess, I want it to be like a bright green kind of color, right? Because that's kind of contrasty. So if I paint green on this, a bright green, when it catches, the specular highlight is going to be that green, which is kind of cool, right? But it might be I want some areas to not do that. So let's say I want this area to not do it. I would take this and basically use black, and that will get rid of the specular. Now, it's kind of hard to tell what has specular and what doesn't, because you can only tell if you see the shine on them. So a way to know what does and what does not is to right-click on it, and then just go solo as diffuse. And then what it's going to do is it's going to show you this layer just as the colors that you paint. So what I would normally suggest is paint like, maybe black on everything, flood paint layer, and then go through and you would paint like maybe I'll, hang on a second, where are you at? There we go. We're going to take the strength down a whole bunch. And then what I'm going to do is just paint a little bit on like areas that kind of stick out a little bit. And then it'll only shine in those areas. And when I'm done, I could right click, unsolo. And you can see his hands are not shiny at all, but then like parts of his chest is the parts that kind of stick out, the parts that I painted. Okay, so that's how you do specular. It's pretty straightforward. Now, the last one we got to do is just going to automatically be made for us. I'm just going to go ahead and save this because this is going to be an automated thing, and I don't want it to break on me while we're trying to do our thing here. So make sure you save it. Anytime we're doing like some sort of action that's going to be multiple things, you need to save it because it's going to try and kill you. Okay, because that's what the computer's doing. So to do the next one we're going to do is you're going to go to UVs and maps, extract texture maps, new operation, and we want to create a normal map. So hit add all, and what you'll see is it's going to add all three models. So the problem is that every time we've done a couple of those things, it actually made a new model. So what I mean by that is this. If I go to my object list, you're going to see human body copy, retopo. So what happened is, I don't know what this one is. Oh, I think that doesn't matter. But basically what happened is this. The first body that we used, that you imported or that we opened up that file, that was the regular human body. The human body copy, when we tessellated it and we sculpted on it in the Dynamesh, that made it as human body copy. Then when we retopoed it, it made another version of it that is here. And you can actually tell, see how this says 2 levels, 1 level, and this one is 7? So clearly, human body copy retopo is the one that we want. Okay, so that's how I know. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this one. Can I do control click? I can. I'm going to select both of these and remove. I only want the human body copy retopo because that's the one that we have here. And I'm going to do the same thing here and remove. I only need to do that model. Now you'll see it's going to give me the option of what level I want to do a comparison to. So they go from level 0 to level 6. So basically that means that he's meant to be viewed on level 0 with the way this is set up. So if I click on it, I can choose to do level 2. We'll leave it on level 0 just because. I actually don't like I like the subdivision. It's just easier. I actually haven't been having better luck. Raycast is supposed to be better, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan. Okay, so then it says image size. We've been doing 2048 for everything, so I'm just going to do 2048 still. Anti-aliasing, I'm just going to do 2x. That increases the render time quite a bit and doesn't really add that much. We do want Maya software, and with that, it's got to be tangent space. And then it's going to say file type texture. Oops, not ptext, please. Okay, got to reset my stupid settings here. Okay, and then it's going to want to know where to save it, and you're going to click on that, and it's going to ask where, and I'm just going to say, I'm going to type in normal, because that's what it's going to make, and I'll hit save. And once that's good, we'll hit extract. Tangent quality on the target mesh is low. This can lead to artifacts. Tangent quality. Okay, well, whatever. And then it's going to try extracting it, and this could be kind of time consuming. Pause it, and I will show you when it... Oh, wait a minute. Is it going to be done soon? looks like it might almost be done soon. Except that it's really trying to milk that 100%. Don't you love how programs do that? Oh. I don't think it did it? No, it's still going. There we go. And hit OK. Hit close. All right, and then it's going to look kind of weird, like too much. And that's because we have it at the highest level. So I'm going to go back down to level 0. So page down, page down, page down to get to level 0. And now you can see those details we did are now as a normal map, right? So like this only existed on the sculpt. And now you can see like a lot of the stuff that we created is still there. And so if you look, the quality of this isn't that much different than our higher poly. And this is only, if I hit W for wireframe, it's not that many polys. I think it's like 6,000 is what it said. So that's pretty low. So that's pretty cool. Actually, if I page down, I'll probably, okay, maybe I gotta go up and down. There it is, 6,028, okay? So that's pretty good. Now, when you are done with this, so we're gonna say this guy is good to go, all you gotta do is save this. So you're just gonna save it. And now when you go to submit this to me, when you want to submit this for your project here. All right, hang on a second. I saved this in the wrong spot, by the way. I'm actually going to re-save this. Save scene as, and I'm going to make sure it's on desktop. There we go. Now save it. For whatever reason, I had it would default to do a different file or folder, and I didn't realize that. But okay. So you're going to save what you got, right? So you don't even have to, if you wanted to send this to Maya, you could. You would just export it. You can also do file send to Maya. There's an option, and that will actually send it to Maya for you. But I'm going to wait. Yeah. Oops. So if you did want to bring it into Maya, all you have to do is you would right-click over top to Diffuse and export channel merged and name it whatever. Right-click over this, export channel merged. And then you don't have to right-click over this because it actually made it externally, but if you wanted to, export channel merged. And then you would select the model here. And then you would just do File, Export Selection, and you would export it as an OBJ. And then you'd bring all of that in. You'd have an OBJ and your 3 texture maps. You'd have to make a new material inside of Maya, and you would apply the color map, the normal map, and the specular map. But I don't really care about that. You can literally just give me this file. So you're going to save it. And then you close out of this. Don't save, I didn't do anything. And then you should have this file. Let me see. And a normal file. So, oh, and this here. Okay. So you'll have these here. So you're going to have your Mudbox file here. You're going to have this Mudbox toot. Come on, open up. Toot files. Alright, cool. Get over here. Toot files. Oh god, it's slow. I don't know why it's so slow. You're going to have this, and actually you probably don't even need this one, but just put it in there anyway. The toot files. But you can see here are my texture files, right? That are being used for the this. I need this folder too, because otherwise when you give this to me, I'm only going to have the model and not the textures. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab all 3 of these, and then you're going to right-click, and if you're on a Mac, it's compressed, but if you're on a PC, you right-click over all 3 of them, send to, not that. Come on, right-click, send to, compress zip folder. And that's going to make a zip folder. Probably going to show up over here someday. Oh, it's probably a large file. I didn't even think about that. I think this ends up being like, oof, 1.79 gigs. Pretty big file. I didn't think it's going to be that big. I thought it'd be like 300 megabytes. Anyway, so you're gonna make those into a zip folder. You might have to put them on Google Drive and then just send me the link in your submission. But basically, I need all of those, and then you'll submit that. And then that is your guy. And if you want to keep them or her for later, you just take this stuff and put it into a location, and then you can just keep it there. And if you ever want it again, all of the items are there. Okay? And that's it. That's what you're going to do. You're going to do that, and then you're going to submit, and you are good. So good luck, guys.